Well, I do remember the time you told the New York Times, I won. You did describe it as a stolen election. The courts did side with the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and some of the challenges as well.
Caitlin, that's actually incorrect. And normally I wouldn't cut you off, but you're repeating disinformation.
That's Stacey Abrams apparently trying to gaslight CNN host Caitlin Collins on the circumstances of her popularity in the Democratic Party. Welcome to Nerk News. I'm Nerkish. And if there's one thing Republicans love to point out, it's the hypocrisy of Democrats saying how much they want to protect the sanctity of democracy while seemingly having no issue pushing the unverified Russian collusion hoax for years, praising Hillary Clinton for calling Trump an illegitimate president, or propping up Stacey Abrams on the sole basis of her saying she won, even though it was never confirmed. Sounds like a bit of a double standard to me.
I believed then, and I believe now, I have never been the governor of Georgia. I have never claimed to be the governor of Georgia. What I have said is that voters were denied their full rights. Courts agreed with me in the time of that election. They agreed with me post-election. The state made changes to the flaws, some of them. Unfortunately, too many of them have been restored in different ways, and we continue to face voter suppression, not only in Georgia, but around the country, because Republicans are using the ability to change the laws because we no longer have the protection of the Voting Rights Act to make it harder for average voters to show up at the polls and have their votes counted. That should be that should be where our focus is. That should be where our attention is. And anyone who tries to distract us from that is not doing the work of protecting democracy in America.
And I take your point that obviously you did not agree with the laws that were in place. You didn't like the new ones that Governor Kemp signed. And we do read past the headlines and the fine print. And one of them, the court said that although Georgia's election system is not perfect, the challenged practices violate neither the Constitution nor the Voting Rights Act. And so I just wanted to give you a chance to respond to that, given it is something we've heard from Senator Ted Cruz and others on this show. Stacey Abrams, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Isn't it interesting how polite CNN hosts can be when there's a Democrat on? I mean, Collins didn't interrupt Abrams once and almost seemed to completely recant the original statement she made about her. Is this part of that new strategy from that white woman for Harris Zoom call where they all discussed important topics like not being able to correct black women? Because not only did Collins change her tune, she seemed to almost be making excuses for why she even brought it up in the first place. Now, it is true that Abrams never said she was governor, but she did say she won, which in effect is kind of the same thing. Maybe the pretend journalist at CNN could have spent more than 5 seconds looking up the endless footage of her making that claim.
I do have one very affirmative statement to make. We won. But I didn't lose. I got the votes. But we won't know exactly how many because of how they cheated. I did win my election. I just didn't get to have the job. We were robbed of an election.
Using the word rigged, using the word steal, do you think it's dangerous going into 2020?
I don't, because we can actually back it up. And so in response to what I believe was a stolen election, and I'm not saying they stole it from me, they stole it from the voters of Georgia. In fact, someone outside asked if I'm ever going to concede. The answer is no.
This is not a speech of concession, because concession means to acknowledge an action is right, true, or proper. And I will not concede because the erosion of our democracy is not right.
People are going to make you mad. They're going to burn your future. They're going to steal your election.
It was not a free and fair election. I think the election was stolen from the people of Georgia. I believe it was stolen from the voters. Thousands of Georgians had their voices stolen because they were not able to cast ballots. And they cannot be guaranteed that their votes will be counted in 2020 if we don't do this right.
If it looks like it's cheating, it probably is. If it looks like it's rigged, it probably is.
Is he the legitimate governor-elect of Georgia?
He is the person who won an adequate number of votes
But that's
to
not,
become the governor of
with all due respect, and I respect where you're coming from, and I respect the issues that you're raising, you're not answering the question. Do you think it was... You're not using the word legitimate. Is he the legitimate governor-elect of Georgia?
He is the legal governor of Georgia.
Now, to be clear, I 100% agree with the argument that Americans need to have faith in our elections and system of government. Otherwise, we just end up in an endless cycle of distrust and bitterness every 2 to 4 years. However, the real point here is that Democrats need to decide where they stand on supporting politicians like this while simultaneously attacking the opposing party. Otherwise, it just seems like empty political grandstanding. But let me know what you think. Will Democrats try to bury or paint over these issues to cover their own rears? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye!